Season 2 is a trap.
It's wHAWG, baby. This is basically just what I expected to see from Blizzard. Well, maybe except for the Diablo 4 is going on Steam announcement that they have, but this is just about what I expected.
I was surprised by the Diablo 4 on Steam as well. I thought it was only going to be Overwatch.
Expected to see a bunch of bug fixes, quality of lives, and broken feature fixes in the guise of seasonal content.
Yeah.
With a mediocre seasonal theme and powers and all that.
Yeah, sure.
It's a trap. The reason I say it's a trap, and I get the same feeling. This is exactly what happened in Diablo 3. This is live service in a nutshell. This is really more like live game development is what we're seeing.
Yeah, I really agree with that language, because like live service would imply that they're like, you service a car, right? And you service a car whenever the car breaks down. And in order for a car to break down, the car has to be working and finished in the first place, right? This is live game development. This is like your car has 2 wheels and they finally introduced the patch where they can put 3 on. And whenever they have 4 wheels, bro, it's going to be a completely different world.
They're fixing little tiny bits.
Yeah, live game development.
And we keep going back. All this is a trap to get you to come back.
It is.
For monthly active users. That's literally...
If they trap me and I like being in a trap, it's okay, though. It's okay if I get trapped as long as I'm having fun.
All this is. Yeah, there's going to be some minor fixes, and they made the horse go a little bit better, but if you push all that aside, okay, it's just little minor things. If you push all that aside, what has really changed in the game? Besides Duriel, which is a recycled asset, which is totally fine. You know, besides a couple other things that they showed us in the PowerPoint presentation.
Other recycled assets.
Is it really going to hold your interest that long? Because here's the elephant in the room.
Well, I don't think it will, and I think that Blizzard knows that. That's why they made the leveling to 60 or 100 40% faster. I think that they know that the game is losing people's attention too fast, and they don't really know what to do about that yet, because like Blizzard's in a very weird position with Diablo 4, because they have an audience of people that are very serious about playing the game, and then they also have an audience of people that don't know what a season is. So it's like Blizzard's trying to please 2 like diametrically opposed audiences of people that are like the complete opposite.
Vampiric power. They're what they call them, agnostic, which means everybody uses the same thing.
Yeah.
Which means there's gonna be a meta, and guess how boring that's gonna turn into real quick. That's gonna be a boar festival, right?
As long as the meta is like not just 1 or 2 of them, like for example, if you have like 12 powers and 5 of them are really good for endgame, then it's okay. But the problem is like whenever it's only 1 that's good for endgame. That's what sucks.
So, adding a streamer mode for the 193 channels that stream this, and you know, adding an extra stash instead of a stash tab, and making gems and material. Like, do you notice how ridiculous they go out of their way to do things and make it overcomplicated? We didn't care about having a damn gems go to materials, and then it makes this thing like that's just another way for us to spend more money in the game.
Well, to be fair, I actually think that people did want the gems to be in inventory. Like, people did want that. That actually is a thing that players did want. They asked for that a lot. Now, it's become less of an issue because, like, we've seen kind of, like, the whole context of, like, what the game is. But the gem tab was a very, very requested thing, even inside of the beta for the game.
Well, gold we're talking about, not real money, gold. But I just want a tab. I just want a gem tab. All they do is put a gem tab. They can't do that because the code's so fucked. But so that's why we got another, what'd they say, another stash in every major capital. So what does that mean? 2 extra stashes? So what I want...
No, that's just... No. That's literally just for the increased, like, usage. Like, I don't think we're getting a new stash entirely. It's not like it's like a Rust, for example. Like, each box has different stuff in it. But yeah, it's just different locations.
What I wanted to see was changes to the game, right? Because if you don't play season, then none of this matters. And I know a lot of y'all are going to say, well, who doesn't play Season? Well, there's a lot of people that don't play Season.
To be fair, actually, I will say in Blizzard's defense with this, Blizzard actually did add a, they're adding this new stuff, like the Duriel stuff, they're adding it into the base game, into the Eternal Realm. They explicitly said that in the video, which was good. I'm very glad about that. I think that's just it's an improvement.
I cruise around still, and I check Facebook, and I check the forums and stuff, and there's people that just don't care to play these lame-o seasons.
No.
But there's nothing to add besides a couple bosses that you're going to get bored with, just like y'all got bored of the world bosses. There was no new world bosses.
I do think that, like, the reason why the bosses like Duriel and like that beast of the ice or something like that, and like the vampire guy, the reason why I think, and Barshan, I think why they're gonna last longer is because they have specific drops, whereas like world bosses don't drop anything that has any value, and you can't farm world bosses. They're completely you know, like not random spawn, but like they're inconvenient spawn for a lot of people. Like they just don't, like there's nothing special about killing a world boss in the same way that there's something special about killing one of these other bosses, because that's one of the reasons why like PoE is great, is that like if you want a Watcher's Eye, you've got to go kill Elder. If you want a the Savior sword, you've got to go kill Cirrus. If you want a elevated sextant thing or elevated influence thing, I think you have to do Maven. You know, you want to get Ashes to Dust, you've got to go do Searing Exarch. So like each of these bosses has value because there's something that they drop that provides value. Does that make sense? So if you have a new boss that you add into the game that drops something unique and special, and farming that boss isn't completely out of the way and annoying, but like you'll just kind of get it passively the way you do with a lot of PoE bosses, and also I think this is the way it's going to work with Diablo 4 as well, then I think people will be okay with it. And I think that it will actually add more content for them to do.
Yeah, they reduce some timers and stuff. That's just number adjustments. I think really what it is I'm really sick of the basic skill, like the generator spender combo. Why couldn't we got some new skills? Why couldn't we have gotten reworked items or sets?
I agree with him on this, is that I think that the way that the basic skills, like I don't think they're going to add in new basic skills realistically, but what they should do is they should make uniques that like they ascend your basic skills. Like they make your basic skill like a really, really powerful core skill, or a really, really powerful like you know, class specific skill. Right? That would be really cool. Because like, and like that unique you could get from like an in-game boss or something like that. Because yeah, I think augments, right? Like awaken the skill. Yeah, awakening of the skill. I think that sounds the coolest, right? Of like how I would imagine it in my head. Because like imagine if you use like, you know, like that druid one where like you hit him with the staff and it hits like 2 different targets. What if you could get an awakening for that and it was like a massive slam and it would chain between everything? And it would just look really cool, right? But like in order to get that, you'd have to do like really hard content. That would be awesome.
So like basically what they're doing is they're just drip feeding us just little content so we'll log on to make sure they hit their monthly active users number, right? Which is another reason why it went to Steam, because they count outside stuff as a separate metric that they can tie in with the monthly active user, so it just gives...
I think that there's 2 reasons why it went to Steam. The first reason is he's totally right about this, that one of the big reasons it went to Steam probably is because the users is going down a lot, so Blizzard needs to pull out all the stops and make sure that they have as many people as possible playing the game, so the investors don't realize that they're completely fucking the game up and fire everybody that works there. So that's number 1. I think also number 2 is that I don't think it's really a coincidence that it happened right after the lawsuit for, what do you call it? I'm right? No, I think you are, man. Yeah, Hog's in chat. The Hog TV. There he is. What's up, man? And, yeah. Like, I do think that you're right about this. Of course it's for monthly active users. But the other reason I do think that... I think this was something that Activision Blizzard worked out with Microsoft, that they're going to move some Battle.net games over to Steam, so it seems like they don't have as much of a monopoly. That's what I think the big issue is. is that I don't think it's a coincidence that all of these things started going to Steam right after the big lawsuit about it being antitrust. I think that's probably the main reason, or I mean, there's two reasons. Which one is the more important one doesn't really matter. The purpose is that I think there are two main reasons. It's like, yes, what he's saying, and also because of lawsuit liability in the future.
Them more monthly active users for the platform,
yeah.
And they're going to just continue to just, hey, here's this, here's this, here's this. And guess what? You get back on the train and you ride it in and you give them the numbers they need. And then the next month, there'll be an XP boost event. And so you'll log on again to see what that is. And then the next month, there'll be the next season. This is just how they're going to keep doing it until the expansion comes, where they're going to give you Monk and Paladin and then a couple extra things. And
they need to give us Paladin. Like, they absolutely need to give us Paladin. And, like, also, I don't have a problem, like, you know, some people are of the mind that whenever you see the man behind the machine, you can never believe that it's a fantasy again, right? Where it's kind of like, as soon as you can see that this is a video game that's made for profit, you can never enjoy the game. I think that's kind of what I mean by that metaphor, is that I don't really care if they're trying to up monthly users. It doesn't really matter to me. What matters is if the game isn't fun to play. And like, I don't care, like, if they're trying to get people back by doing something that's, you know, an experience booster event or whatever. The problem is if it's not enjoyable, because, like, every game does this. Every game has promotions like this. But it's about whether it's actually enjoyable and it adds value to the player. Which in Season 1, they really didn't.
And charge you $50 for it.
Yeah.
And then just keep going and going to where we're at about Season 9. And we're like, damn, the game's pretty good. And that's how they do it. It's live service.
Yeah, finally, when the game's good, they'll add the expansion that will reset it.
Its finest, live development. This is just a big mousetrap. That's all it is. Because what's going to happen is, you're still going to get in there. You're going to play with the same old, same stuff, except for the seasonal power, which is going to be gone in 3 months. And there's going to be a Maidon, because they're used against or across every character in the game. And then you're going to sit here in about a week and you're going to go, well, damn. Because it's the same thing with D3. I went back and Well,
this is also a problem that, like, this is a problem that Diablo has that PoE doesn't have. That meta builds have, like, they have, like, an internal... What's the way to say this? Like, there's an internal, like, correcting mechanism for meta builds in PoE, because most players operate through the economy of the game. So whenever there's a lot of people playing, let's say, Carrion Golem or Righteous Fire, like or Arc, right? These are really, really popular spells in PoE. Then the price of those materials and, like, those items is so high that it's prohibitive, and it actually becomes better to play something that's a little bit more less popular, right? Like Blade Vortex. Blade Vortex is also extremely popular, but not as popular as Righteous Fire, I would assume, right? So that's how, like, PoE has, like, its internal correcting mechanism for everybody playing the same build, because gear is harder to come by because it's much more complex and granular, and there's much more, like, nuance to it. But with Diablo, you only have 4 stats. Like, I'm going to be honest. I think that whenever you get to 900 item level gear, you should have 5 stats on it. I think gear needs to have 5 stats, because it's too easy to get 4 stat gear that's good. I do. I think it's just simply too easy.
Played the last season, or the season's going on right now.
There's no, like, chase items.
I got to 70, and I was like, I'm good.
And the chase items that you do have, you have, like, the thing is with PoE, right, is that you can have a chase item, but there are ways for you to chase after it. Whereas in Diablo 4, and this is going to be changed a little bit with Season 2, but in general, this is a big problem I have with Diablo 3. This is why I quit Reaper of Souls, is because I no longer had control over the progress of my character. All I had to do is just simply play the game again and again and again and hope that maybe I'll get something good. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's what was boring about it.
That's what's going to happen again. But as long as they got their number count for the month, they're good. So, again, it's just, you know, he managed expectation, 2 hours of live stream. for this one live stream, and we're going to have 2 hours the next time. And it was a PowerPoint presentation about broken things in the game, like teleport to the Nightmare Dungeon, now puts you in the Nightmare Dungeon. So
which is an improvement. This is better. I appreciate them doing this. This is good.
Basically, they created a problem, and then the next season they fixed the problem. And then they...
And he's right. This should have never been the case. He is right. Absolutely. An entire season to do that. Fixes aren't features. I really like that. We should use that more. Fixes aren't features.
They say, look how good we did. And everybody eats it up like, oh, man, it's getting better every time. Well, of course, this is the plan. They're going to do this every time. They did it with D3. They're going to do it with D4. They'll do it with D5. They'll do it with D8. Just the way it is. But, yeah, that's... I mean, I don't need to tell you what happened with it. Everybody knows.
Yep.
A lot of people watched. It was boring. And yeah, there were some good things, but it's to be expected. There wasn't anything that blew my mind. And Rod talked about that there was going to be so much stuff, that it was going to be the greatest season. And it's just more of the same. That's all it is.
I am very satisfied with the season. I'll have to say I am happy about it. But he's right that half of the things they announced were fixes. And the other half of things that they announced were things that PoE did 10 years ago. He is right. And this is something that, like, again, I am positive whenever the game is positive, and whenever things are getting better, and I am negative whenever they're getting worse. So I am positive. I will try out Season 2, but he is right. This does not... Like, it doesn't reinvent the wheel. Complaining about video games is so lame. Well, I mean, we're not really complaining. We're just talking about it, right? I mean, it's not like I'm not, like, mauling or anything. I'm just saying, like, yeah, this is it. You got surf shit on release. They give you a quality of life change, and you're positive now. It's such a small W. Yeah. I will always be positive whenever I get something I want. The reason why is that I think that's the most effective way to get things that you want. Because if you're negative whenever you get things that you want, there's no benefit to giving people what they want. Because it won't change their behavior or their feelings. So I usually, I act in a way that is, like, most trying, like, I try to, like, I don't really act how I feel. I act in a way that achieves a goal. Does that make sense? Yeah, positive feedback is like dog training. Exactly, yes. And it's good that Blizzard finally played the game. You're promoting shit games over and over is why you keep getting shit games? Well, yeah, but, like, I mean, I make YouTube videos about them, it's good for me. This is a good video. I think it's definitely a reality check. I'll go ahead and link it to you guys. It's a wHAWG video. Make sure to give it a like. This is a good one. The point that I'm making about all this, right, is this. You can be positive about something while acknowledging that there are still a long way to go. I think that New World is the best example of this. I have praised New World for improving the quality of the game many times. Because I think that if you don't praise improvements in quality, you don't get them eventually. And my goal whenever I do things is that everything that I do and say, I have, like, a goal behind it. Usually I don't just say things because I'm mad or because anything like that. Like, I don't do that. I try to do things with a goal behind it, with a purpose behind it, as much as I can. So, like, whenever I give positive feedback or I'm positive about a game, what I'm trying to say is, like, hey, this is good, do this more. Yeah, different opinion than his. Whole conspiracy approach, devs are doing things, doesn't stick with me. Diminishing the work of the devs, making it sound like nothing didn't stick with me. But, like, you do acknowledge that it was a bad decision for you to be spawned outside of a Nightmare Dungeon, right? And, like, they should have known this ahead of time. Yeah, this was a mistake. It just was. It was a mistake. So, like, yes, I appreciate the improvement, but that doesn't mean that it's an improvement. Gonna win us back.